I need you to understand something. When the police searched that attic, they found nothing. No animals, no intruders, no logical explanation for what I heard. But the dust told a different story. Something had been dragged across that floor, something that shouldn't have been there at all. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that last year, I made $75 to spend 5 hours in a house that changed me. I don't babysit now. I don't go into old houses. And I never, ever look up at ceilings the way I used to. This is what happened the night I heard voices where no voices should exist. The Mitchells lived in one of those Victorian houses that photographers love and children instinctively fear. All steep roof lines and narrow windows, paint peeling like dead skin. They'd hired me through a neighbor's recommendation. Anniversary dinner, back by midnight. Their daughter Emma was 3 and already asleep. Mrs. Mitchell walked me through the house with that tight smile parents wear when they're pretending everything's fine. Emma's room is upstairs, second door. Don't go in the attic. It's just storage and the ladder's tricky. She said it casually, too casually, the way you'd tell someone not to open a specific drawer. Mr. Mitchell handed me their number on a slip of paper, his handwriting shaking slightly. We'll have our phones on. Call if anything feels wrong. The door closed behind them at 7:15. The silence came immediately after. You know that particular quality of quiet that old houses have? It's not peaceful. It's expectant. Like the building itself is holding its breath, waiting for you to notice something you've been deliberately ignoring. I settled on the living room couch, some forgettable show flickering on the television. The house creaked. Old houses do that. Floorboards contracting, pipes settling, wood remembering its shape. I cataloged each sound, told myself stories to explain them. But at 9:40 I heard something I couldn't explain away. A scraping sound directly above my head. I muted the television. The sound stopped. I waited 30 seconds, then unmuted. 5 minutes later it happened again. Deliberate this time. Rhythmic, like something being slowly dragged across wooden boards. The attic was above me. The attic Mrs. Mitchell told me not to think about. At 10:30, the whispering started. I need you to understand. This wasn't wind through rafters or pipes groaning. This was a voice, low and papery, like someone speaking through layers of old fabric. Indistinct words tumbling over each other in an urgent, rasping stream. Then a second voice answered it. Higher, sharper, almost pleading. My spine went rigid. Every primitive instinct I possessed screamed the same message. You are not alone in this house. The TV cast blue shadows across the walls. Outside, nothing moved. The voices continued their conversation above me. Clearer now, though still maddeningly unintelligible. They were arguing, back and forth, building in intensity, the rhythm of a fight conducted in whispers. I grabbed my phone. No missed calls, no texts. The Mitchells were somewhere candlelit and wine-drunk, completely unaware. The arguing stopped mid-sentence. Complete silence crashed over the house. Then Emma. I'd forgotten Emma. I took the stairs 3 at a time, sneakers barely touching carpet. The second-floor hallway stretched before me, Emma's door closed, nightlight glowing underneath. And beside it, mounted in the ceiling, the attic entrance. The pull-down ladder was exactly where it should be, folded, locked, undisturbed. But as I stood there, phone clutched in shaking hands, I heard it again, that dragging sound. Slow, deliberate, moving from one end of the attic to the other, directly above the hallway. Something heavy being pulled across the floor with agonizing patience. I pushed Emma's door open. She was asleep, face peaceful, small chest rising and falling with perfect innocence. Stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm, completely untouched by whatever haunted the space above her. The dragging sound stopped. 1 second, 2, 3, then, impossibly, a soft thump directly above Emma's room. My hands moved before my brain caught up. I scooped Emma from her bed, grabbed her rabbit, and backed into the hallway. She stirred but didn't wake. The attic entrance loomed above us like a trap door to something that shouldn't be opened. I whispered to Emma, "Stay asleep. Please stay asleep." I carried her to the guest bedroom at the end of the hall, locked the door, and called her parents. No answer, no answer, no answer. My thumb shook as I dialed 911. The police arrived in 14 minutes. 2 officers, flashlights cutting through the dark. They pulled down the attic ladder, the hinges screamed, and climbed up while I waited in Emma's room, her small body pressed against mine. When they came down, their faces carried that particular expression law enforcement wears when they can't explain what they've found. "Ma'am, there's no one up there." But the voices, no animals either, no nests, no droppings, no entry points. The older officer pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. The attic floor captured in harsh LED light. Dust lay thick across the boards, except for one long, clear path. Something had been dragged from the far corner to the center of the space, leaving a trail as wide as a body. "Any idea what could make this?" he asked. I had no answer, but here's what he didn't tell me then. What I only learned later from the neighbor who'd recommended me. The house had been empty for 3 years before the Mitchells bought it. The previous owners left suddenly, in the middle of the night. They had a daughter too, 7 years old. Her bedroom was the one Emma slept in. The Mitchells came home to police cars and floodlights. Mrs. Mitchell's face went white when they told her about the attic. Mr. Mitchell just nodded slowly, like he'd been expecting this. They paid me for the full night, added an extra $100 I never asked for. Mrs. Mitchell pressed the bills into my palm and said, "We're sorry, we should have known." I wanted to ask what she meant. I didn't. 2 months later, a for sale sign appeared in their yard. I drove past once, only once. The house looked smaller somehow, darker. The attic window reflected nothing but sky. I still think about what made those drag marks, what wanted to whisper arguments in the dark above a sleeping child, what knew I was there, listening. But mostly, I think about this. When I carried Emma out of her room that night, still half asleep, she opened her eyes for just a moment, and she looked directly at the attic entrance and whispered, "They're always talking up there." Then she smiled, closed her eyes, and went back to sleep.